Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Notify Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and the trade deadline has come and gone, and we're going to start with the Yankees. And the big deal they made at the trade deadline was on Saturday when they acquired Jazz Chisholm from the Florida Marlins, and so far that has looked like a really good deal for the Yankees. 2 home runs in their win against the Phillies on Monday. 2 home runs last night in their win against the Phillies, and he's got a single in the 4-run second inning they have. They're currently up 4-0 on the Phillies right now in the second inning. So Jazz Chisholm's impact so far has been really good for this team. I think the thing about him, which I like the most too, is he can play multiple positions. He can play center field. He can play third base like he did last night. He can play second base. He can play multiple positions. So I really like this move for the Yankees. This is a move they needed. They needed to get another bat, and they did, getting Jazz Chisholm.
Yeah, absolutely. Jazz has been something the Yankees have been missing the last couple of years. Guy who's got multiple tools. He's a lefty bat, can steal bases. He can play multiple positions. He brings a energy to this clubhouse where they don't really have a ton of those guys. And but yeah, he's been perfect so far. His swing, I think, he hasn't even played a game at Yankee Stadium. I think his swing's built because he's more of a pull hitter. But he can also obviously go the opposite field too. So yeah, he's been a great piece so far. And I know the concerns were, how would he be in the clubhouse? But I think with an Aaron Judge, he's going to be fine because he's the best player in Miami. Nobody in that Miami lock clubhouse could kind of tell him could tell him to kind of knock it off or anything like that. And again, so I think Jazz has been a great pickup for him. And yeah, he's had a monster impact so far.
He definitely has. He's had a monster impact. All right, he's not going to be doing this the entire time, but he's definitely made an impact to a lineup that has Giancarlo Stanton back. So really, this team, I think this lineup is set right now. This lineup is set. You really don't need to touch it. And that's definitely the strength of this team at the moment. Yes, they were very inconsistent when Giancarlo Stanton was out. But if you've seen, in the games in Boston, in the first 3 games in Philly, the lineup is the strength of this team right now.
Yeah, it has been right now. Glaber, since kind of coming back from the All-Star break, has started to kind of get going. I know he's 0 for 2 today. I think he went 0 for last night, but he had been hitting the ball better. Judge and Soto have just been on fire all year. Verdugo's starting to pick up a little bit. Austin Wells, since Jose Trevino got hurt, he's been on fire, and he's really been, taking that opportunity and running with it, catching every day. So, yeah, the lineup's been really good. This weekend, I know they played a Boston team right now that pitching wise is really struggling to get outs. But a Philly team that Zach Wheeler, one of the NL Cy Young favorites right now, they got to him Monday night. So yeah, the lineup has looked a lot better. I was kind of wanting a Yandy Diaz, for another first baseman, but right now the way the lineup's going, it feels like that's they might be okay without having to, without getting that other bat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the way the lineup is hitting, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine without the other bat. But now we got to go to the negative of the trade deadline. That's what the Yankees didn't do. And they did upgrade the bullpen a little bit with Mark Leiter, but what they really didn't do is upgrade the starting rotation. And it looked like they had a deal in place. It looked like they had a deal in place with Jack Flaherty. They ended up backing out because of medical issues. But that's the one thing the Yankees didn't really do with this trade deadline is upgrade the rotation. And that's a little bit of a concern because you saw what happened with Garrett Cole last night. Nestor's been struggling. Stroman's been up and down. Rondon's been up and down. Heel's been up and down. They did not upgrade this rotation. And right now, outside of the closer position, the closer role, which we'll get to that, that's still, I think that's the biggest concern with this team because I just think the rotation, ever since this losing streak, ever since the middle of June, has really been up and down.
Yeah, it has been, the Cole, hopefully, I guess he threw today and things went well. So hopefully this weekend, maybe he gets the start, which would be good. But yeah, I think the lack of spring training from him this year has hurt. And yeah, Rodon's had a couple of really good starts in a row now. Can he keep that up? I'm not too confident, but hopefully there's a bright side. He's looked a lot better his last 3 starts now as well. So things are trending up. But yeah, I'm with you. I really wanted Jack Flaherty. I get with the medical issues, but or the concern there. But one of the guys the Dodgers gave up, Trey Sweeney. I don't know if you remember him, the Yankee first round pick in 2021, who traded this offseason for Caleb Ferguson. So, that. He's going to Detroit. You could have used him if you kept him, and that was a bad trade there by Cashman because Ferguson, gets dealt to Houston yesterday. It's been bad, but I really want another starter because right now Heel's probably your number 2 behind Cole in the postseason, and who else do you really trust behind that right now? And that's going to be the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We really say obviously Cole you're fine with, but yeah, who do you trust? Do you trust Cortez? No. Do you trust Stroman? Recently, no. Do you trust Rondon? No. Do you trust Heel? No. You really can't trust anyone behind Garrett Cole. And that's definitely one of the biggest. That's definitely why I'm a little disappointed that they didn't, add a starting pitcher at the trade deadline. I'm a little disappointed in that because there's no one you really can trust outside of Garrett Cole.
No, there's not right now. And that's the concern. And, Cole really hasn't even looked like himself yet. And you hope with another couple starts he will. But yeah, you haven't really gotten the Garrett Cole that we've seen, like last year where he really looked like the guy that, they gave the $36 million a year to. So yeah, the rookie yesterday made a debut, Will Warner, got called up at the last minute. I know
he actually didn't pitch that. He actually didn't pitch that poorly. Yeah, outside of that home run he gave up to Hayes, he didn't pitch that poorly.
No, he didn't. And again, he probably didn't find out till that morning, and you had to go to face toughest lineup in the league.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah,
maybe he gets some more starts in August, September. So maybe he gains the organization's trust because I thought he settled in really well after he gave up that home run to Hayes last night. So. Yeah, there's just not a ton of guys you feel confident about right now, and that's kind of that's gonna be the worry. And you need good pitching, get you to October, and we'll gotta not too confident right now if they have that, at least with the rotation.
Exactly. And for the bullpen, what's your thoughts on the bullpen? I thought the bullpen. I think they did a decent job with the bullpen. How was that guy that not Leiter? I think Leiter's okay. Leiter's decent. What was the other guy they got? Is he pretty good?
Los Santos from the Padres.
Yeah.
He was gonna probably be DFA'd from the Padres after they picked up Scott. He has not been good this year. Yeah. He's given up a lot of hard contact, so I don't really love that. Like you probably could have picked him up as a DFA guy, but maybe on Cashman it looks better to the fans aren't as angry if you do trade for somebody instead of getting a DFA, picking up a guy in DFA that just got DFA'd. So we'll see. I'm not too confident about him, but I don't think the Padres lately have even had him pitch high leverage, even medium leverage. He's been more of a mop up guy. So I don't love that one, but Leiter's been good, has been pretty good this year. So he got out of a tough jam last night. So I was kind of hoping for a tear in the sky because Clay Holmes right now, it's just yet again another tough one, especially because he gives up so much soft contact like he did last night. You got a guy Glaber at second base who's not great defensively, and you have Josh Chisholm who's still learning third base. So you love a guy that can get swing and miss stuff as a closer.
Yeah.
Leiter has that. These Santos has had that in the past, but really hasn't gotten that this year.
Yeah, to me, this trade deadline, if I had to give it a grade, I'd say for the Yankees, I'd say a B or a B minus. I love Chisholm. I like Leiter, but the disappointment is they didn't get Jack Flaherty, which they were close to getting, and they didn't get Tanner Scott. And that's the disappointing thing for me. And we all know Clay Holmes. We can't rely. I know Clay Holmes was an all-star, but we cannot rely on Clay Holmes being the closer. He's blown way too many saves in the last month and a half for this team. So, and Tanner could have been a guy who could have closed. So that's the thing. This team is still flawed. It's still flawed, but there are some improvements. Leiter is an improvement, and Chisholm is definitely an improvement for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. They did. Chisholm's definitely been an upgrade for this lineup. Leiter, I think, yeah, he's the guy that has pitched in some high level shots this year with the Cubs, so you can trust him. We saw him last night; he pitched well, and yeah, it's the starter that's kind of the big hole. I know there wasn't a ton, like Crochet didn't get dealt, Skubal didn't get dealt. Colorado had Cal Quantrill out there or on the roster, but like didn't seem like they were shopping him either. So it really felt like, yeah, I know the starting market wasn't great, it felt like, or prices were high, but yeah, I would give it a B as well. Because yeah, I like what they did, but yeah, they need a starter.
Absolutely. Now, moving on to the Red Sox, they did stuff. I'll give them a little bit of credit for that. They did the trade deadline, but I don't think they did enough. I don't think they really did enough at the trade deadline. And my biggest issue is they really didn't add a starter to a rotation that has struggled. And we saw it. You saw it this weekend. They had their two best guys on the mound after they won a game. They had Crawford and Houck on the mound. They both struggled against the Yankees. Those are their two top guys. It's hard to trust this rotation late in the year. It's hard to trust this rotation, and that's why I don't think they're beating out Kansas for what they did. I think Kansas City did more. Kansas City did more going out and getting Lorenzen, going out and getting a bullpen arm. Kansas City did more for me, and they went out and got DeYoung too. So Kansas City did more for me. I don't think the Red Sox. I think they did stuff, so I can't completely bash them. But I like Lucas Sims. I like that pickup. I think that improves the bullpen, which has definitely struggled too recently. We saw that on Saturday. So they did stuff, but I don't think they did enough for them to get that last wild card spot for me.
Yeah, they didn't either. For me either. Here, it's adding Sims and adding their other bullpen arm Garcia. Those aren't bad pickups there, but yeah, they need another starter. I know they got Paxton, and I know last night he gave up 3 earned, and he gave up 6, but only 3 of those were unearned because the defense really did not help him out.
They pretty much got a starter who got DFA'd.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I know he's got some familiarity, but the Dodgers need help drastically before they got Flaherty, and they did DFA Paxton, which is kind of interesting. But I think for the Red Sox they need to do more. They got down 10-3 last night, and the fan base was booing, and the team. So yeah, it's not great. I don't know if they did enough. You got the rules coming up, you got a big rubber match today with the Mariners. You got a pretty tough slate. You got the Astros twice coming up in August. I think you got the Rangers too. So this coming up this weekend. So you got a lot of teams in that wild card mix, and I feel like you mentioned the Royals. I thought that I'm with you. I think the Royals are more. So yeah, it could come back to bite them. I just the defense. They're giving up 8 runs a game since the All-Star break, which is the most in the league. Yeah. But they're scoring over 6 runs, which is the most. So
that's the thing. That's why I don't actually completely get on them for not getting a right-handed, for the only right-handed bat they get was Jansen's, because there weren't a lot available. And I'm not a righty-lefty guy. I'm so tired in baseball, this righty-lefty BS. I'm not a righty-lefty guy. So I'm not going to get on them for that. But what I'm really going to get on them for is they really didn't get a legitimate starting pitcher. They really did, or even a guy just to add depth in the rotation. They didn't really get that, So that's where I'm a little disappointed. That's where I'm a little bit disappointed, and their lack of depth in the rotation is going to be the reason, just like it was last year. It's going to be the reason why they could potentially collapse like they did last year, in August and September.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it right now. They're what now? 3-7 or 3-8 since the All-Star break. It's not been good, and this has been an important stretch for them. So yeah, it really could come back to bite them now, not getting another starter. I know they're banking on getting back Justin Slayton at coming up here soon. Liam Hendricks maybe at the end of the month, and Chris Martin, 2 in about a week. So I know they're relying on those guys to get back in their bullpen too, and they're kind of considering those guys as their trade deadline pickups too. But another week of you only win another game or two. really could put you back because you are playing the Rangers and Royals, who I know the Rangers still 7 back, but the Royals, are 2 up on you. You lose 2 or 3 out there. You could be 4 back, in a week or so. So, definitely Red Sox felt like they should have done more.
Oh, absolutely. They should have done more. I wouldn't say they were a loser of this trade deadline, but to me, yeah, they did something, but they definitely should have done more. They definitely just should have done more. If they want to be a playoff team, they want to get one of those wild card spots. They need to improve the rotation, and they didn't. They didn't. I mean, I know they got Paxton, but you're trading for a guy who got DFA'd. You're trading for a guy who got DFA'd. So yeah, I don't think the Red Sox did enough the trade deadline, and from what I've seen, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. I think it's not gonna be completely the same as last year, but I think they're gonna win, maybe end up winning 82 games and miss the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, I could see them right there being right around 82 games, and yeah, probably missing the playoffs now. Because the Astros are red hot. I know the Rays kind of bought and sold. They're still hanging around, but yeah, I just did not think the Red Sox did enough, and yeah, it could come back to bite them. And thought after they extended core last week, which did surprise me, did not think that was gonna happen. Thought they'd be more in on this trade deadline, but they just weren't. So yeah, it definitely could, and definitely could see them being like an 82 win team and just missing out.
Now we will get to the trade deadline as a whole. We'll start with the Dodgers, and the Dodgers at the last minute made probably one of the best pickups of the trade deadline, going out and getting Jack Flaherty. And the big question is, with them getting Flaherty, adding to a rotation with Stone and Glass now, and eventually Yamamoto when he comes back, does this move make the Dodgers the favorite in the National League? Does getting Flaherty make them the favorite to win the NL? As I said a couple weeks ago, I think they are the favorite to win the NL, but I think this even makes them an even bigger favorite to win the NL with getting Jack Flaherty, because I really like this pitching, really good lineup. They're going to get Betts back too, so they got a really good lineup. So I think the Dodgers, them and the Phillies, clearly the 2 best teams in baseball, but I think the Dodgers are the favorite to come out of the National League.
I'm gonna take. I still think they're second. I'm gonna take the Phillies, which I did a couple weeks ago. I think now either them or the Padres, I think now have probably the best bullpen now in the major leagues, which I think is huge. Kind of in the month of October, and I do really like the rotation. Austin Hayes, I think, is gonna be a good pickup for him. I did definitely love what the Dodgers did. Getting Flaherty, getting Kopech, getting Tommy Edman, getting Rosario. Like I think they did a really good job of building depth, what the Dodgers always do. But I'm still gonna take this Philly team just by a little bit because the Dodgers still have a ton of injuries. I know they should get most of them back, but I want to see what these guys come back healthy like, and before I really buy in on them.
Yeah, I see that. I could see that. I could see the Phillies, but the Phillies have been struggling, as you've seen this week against the Yankees. But I feel like they're kind of bored. They're so far ahead in first place. They're kind of bored. I'm not putting a ton of stock into this, series against the Yankees. I think they're a little bit bored right now, the Phillies. It's an interleague series against the Yankees. It's not like it's a big series against Atlanta. So I feel like they have such a big lead on Atlanta and the Mets that they're kind of bored. So yeah, I could see the Phillies being it. I just think the Dodgers are a little bit better and I think it all comes down to this: the Dodgers have won it, and the Phillies haven't with their current teams. The Dodgers won it in 2020. The Phillies got there in 2022. They lost, got to the NLCS and lost last year. So I think that it's close, but I'm still going to go with the Dodgers, and I think Flaherty's really. But here's one thing: if you like the Phillies or Dodgers in the NL, regardless of that, Flaherty is a really good pickup for this team.
Yeah, Flaherty definitely is. They definitely need another starter. I know they just got Kershaw back. Glasnow's a guy that he's been pretty healthy. I know he had one stint on the IL so far, but he's been a guy that doesn't. I don't think he's ever thrown over 200 innings in his career. He's at 120 so far. So like, how much longer, can he hold up the rest of the year? And then behind that, Yamamoto's still hurt. Dustin May's out for the year. Bueller, he's hurt and hasn't really been the same with all the injuries he's had of late. So yeah, they really need help in that rotation, and getting a Jack Flaherty who's been really good this year. In a contract year too. Yeah, I think it's definitely a huge pickup for the Dodgers.
Yep, definitely. Absolutely. Now, staying in the NL West, another team had a big pickup on Tuesday, and that was the Padres getting Tanner Scott to upgrade a bullpen. That is, their bullpen about an average bullpen, but this definitely is going to improve their bullpen. I think the Padres, now their bullpen's improved. We'll see. They have pretty good starting pitching. Michael King and Dylan Cease. You saw Dylan Cease throw a no-hitter. We'll see if Darvish comes back. Lineup has been surprising without Juan Soto. The Cronenworth and Profar have had big years for this team. So, but the big question is with the Padres, and they're right on the they're in that mix of the they're in that wild card race with the Mets, the Braves, the Cardinals. They're in that wild card race. The big question is, with them getting Scott, does this make them one of the favorites to get one of those wild cards? And I think it does. I think the 3 wild card teams that are going to be in wild card teams in the National League are the Braves, just because of their pitching. The Padres, I think they became definitely a more complete team getting Scott. And I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks is the way they've been hitting recently. And they are the defending NL champions. I think the Mets are the team that falls out of there. And the Mets, you saw the way the Mets did business yesterday. You know that they're not completely investing on this team. They're pretty much saying, all right, we'll make small moves, but you know, if we miss the playoffs, all right, we were expected to miss the playoffs. So to me, I think the Padres are one of the 3 teams that should be one of the favorites to get into one of those wild card spots with the Diamondbacks and with the Braves.
Yeah, I think the Padres should be able to get one of those wildcard spots. Now with that bullpen, I know they got Martin Perez as a starter, in their rotation, because I felt like they needed one. I don't know if I would have gotten Martin Perez, but yeah, now at the back end of the rotation, Suarez has been one of the best closers to all baseball. Tanner Scott's been right there too, and Jason Adams from the Rays has been really good as well. So I really liked what they did with their bullpen. They should get Tatis back in a couple weeks here. They got a decent lineup. They got some power. So I definitely think they should be able to hold on to one of those wild card spots, and especially the way the Dodgers have been playing of late. I know they're still 5.5 back, but I don't think it's out of the question that the Padres could catch them and maybe take that the spot there from them in the National League West. I wouldn't be surprised.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that. I mean, I know they're 5.5 out, but I know, I get it. And they had that huge comeback. They had the huge comeback last night when you had Machado and Merrill hitting those home runs, and then Solano winning the game.
Yeah, they did. I think the Padres could still, because they've got 6 games with the Rockies still. They still have 3 with the Marlins. They got 3 with the White Sox. So they got still a bunch with the Pirates. So I wouldn't be shocked if they could find a way to catch the Dodgers. I don't think they will, but I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I think they should get one of those wild card spots. I think it's going to be I think it'll be Mets, Padres, Diamondbacks. I think the Braves got too many injuries. I don't like the way they're playing. So I think the Braves are the team that kind of gets left out right now in the wild card.
Yeah, I could agree with you there. I can agree with you there with the Braves because the injuries with Strider, obviously Acuna out. Yeah, I could see the Braves being left out. I definitely can see the Braves being left out. I just think their pitching's too good though for them to be. I think Chris Sale's had a really good year. I think Lopez has had a really good year. I think the pitching's just too good for the Braves to be left out. But I could see it because of the injuries they have.
Yeah, it's been a tough year for Atlanta. Yeah, they've had a ton, and Sales made every start this year. But can he continue to do that? Where we get to the start where he's got to skip 1 or 2. So yeah, their pitching is pretty good. Their bullpen's not bad either. But yeah, their lineup right now they're trying to figure it out. So yeah, they still got a good team. Snicker's a good manager, but yeah, would not be shocked if they're the team left out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either. I would not be either. So before we wrap up our trade deadline talk, we're going to go to our winners and losers from the trade deadline. And for our winners, you pretty much, to me, they're all in the National League. And I'm going to start with the team we just talked about, and that's the Dodgers. I think going out and getting Flaherty is big. Having him, Stone, Glasnow, and eventually Yamamoto in that rotation in October is going to be really, really big. And Kershaw, having all those guys in the rotation in October is going to be big for that team. I think they got a great lineup, good bullpen. I think that move puts the Dodgers in a really, really good spot in October. I know they've struggled the last 2 years against their fellow NL West opponents in the postseason, but I think that this move puts them in a really good spot in October. My second winner is, I'll stay in the division. Another team we just talked about, that's the Padres. Going out getting Tanner Scott. I wish the Yankees got Tanner Scott. I really do. I wish the Yankees did. I think that he really, really improves this bullpen. I think it makes them a complete team. The one weakness of the Padres was their bullpens. They were 17th in bullpen ERA for the trade deadline. They add Tanner Scott. They filled a need. AJ Preller did a really good job. AJ Preller's done a really good job with this team. Even in the Soto trade, he was able to get Brito. He was able to get Michael King, who's had a really, really good year for them. So yeah. I mean, I think that I would put the Padres at number 2. And then number 3, I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I'm going with the Cardinals going out and getting Eric Fetty. I think the Cardinals rotation, him and Sonny Gray, I think that's a good 1-2 punch in that rotation. I know the offense has been very average, but I think getting Eric Fetty, that gives them a chance to compete for that wild card spot with the Padres, with the Mets, with the Braves, and with the Diamondbacks. So those are my 3 winners.
Yeah, my 3, I got 2 of the same with you, but my number 1 is the Dodgers. Yeah, getting Jack Flaherty, which is an upgrade. Getting Michael Kopech as the bullpen, getting Tommy Edman, getting Ahmed Rosario, Kevin Kiermaier, and the Dodgers just always do a great job just building depth through their team. I think they did that yet again yesterday. And they've always been all in, and yesterday they kind of did it as well. Getting Flaherty and all those pickups. So I really liked what the Dodgers did. My second one too is San Diego Padres. I really liked what they did with the back end of the bullpen. Want another starter, but I thought they maybe gave up too much when they got Jason Adam. But yeah, you mentioned AJ Preller. He's probably the most aggressive GM out there right now, and he's not afraid to trade any prospects because he's not afraid to trade any prospects out there. So they've been in win now mode, and I think yesterday definitely helped them to get better. My third one over the American League, I get the Kansas City Royals. I thought they did a really nice job yesterday. They have one of the worst farm systems too in the league, and I thought they did a really good job without giving up a ton. Michael Lorenzo, I think, is a nice pickup. Lucas Arberg from Oakland, who's under contract, until 2029, and Paul DeJong comes in with some power. He's got 18 home runs, and with Kansas City that needs powers, they're 19th in the league in home runs, so he kind of helps them there, and they're right there in that wild card hunt. And so I really like Kansas City did quietly there. Not a huge move, but I thought a couple quality guys would really improve their team without crippling their farm system.
Yeah. Kansas City definitely did a good job at the trade deadline. Now I'll get to my losers. And number 1, I'm going to say the Baltimore Orioles because they improved the rotation, but they didn't get one of the big guys to improve it. They didn't get a Fetty. They didn't get a Flaherty. And they couldn't pull off a trade for Skubal either. So, and they ended up with 2 pitchers, but 2 guys with ERAs over 4 with Zach Eflin and Taylor Rogers. So I think the Orioles, and they did get Eloy Jimenez, who has not been really that good for a while. So I don't think, and they really didn't improve the bullpen, which let me tell you, Craig Kimbrell, he's really struggled as a closer. So they really didn't improve the bullpen. So to me, it would be the Orioles. I know they don't want to give up their prospects. But sometimes to win a World Series, you got to give up some prospects. So I would say the Orioles are one of my losers there. Number 2, I'm going to go with the White Sox. The fact they could not deal crochet and get big time prospects to rebuild this team, I think that's disappointing. And then they couldn't trade Luis Robert either. So to me, number 2, it's the White Sox. And number 3, it's the Astros. They added Kikuchi, but they gave up way too much. They gave up way too many prospects for Kikuchi. I think it was kind of a desperate move there. So that's why they're my number 3 loser with the Astros. Now, it's tough to say there's losers because everybody kind of filled their needs, but those were the 3 that I picked.
Yeah, number 1 for me was the Astros. I thought they gave up way too much for Kikuchi. I was very surprised. And where the American League is so wide open right now, they really need a bat at first base. And Yandy Diaz, I think, would have been a perfect fit for him. They didn't go out and go get him. So I was a little surprised that Houston usually is very aggressive. I didn't feel like, they really weren't this trade deadline, Then they got killed first from the Yankees, who's been awful. So I just, I didn't love it. Number 2 for me was the Orioles as well. In a year where you're trying to, where again the American League is so wide open. Eloy Jimenez is a guy who's really having a down year, has really struggled to stay healthy. Bringing him in as a DH is, it's not bad, but I didn't love that. And yeah, the bullpen, Craig Kimbrell's been, he's not been great. A couple of the other guys you mentioned that, have not, they're not great either. So I think they need another starter too with Means out, Bradish, Tyler Wells, and I don't think Zach Eflin's like that big of an upgrade for him. So I was a little disappointed with the Orioles, especially they have not been playing well either. And, So, and with how easy the Yankee schedule is coming up, could pose some problems for them if the Yankees do go on a roll here. So, I didn't love what the Orioles did either. And my third one is another, the Colorado Rockies. For me, that organization is such a dumpster fire. Their farm system's doing better than it has the last couple of years, but you have a couple of free agents pending. Cal Quantrill and Austin Gomber. Alexis Diaz, a catcher who can hit. There's a playoff team, contender out there that could definitely use a catcher, with some offensive upside. They got Brandon Rogers too. That's got like a year and a half left. I don't know if they want to re-sign him long term. So I just felt like the Rockies, like they could have dealt us a couple of these pieces. All they did was get Nick, or they traded Nick Mears, one of the relievers. Like I felt like the Rockies, you got the second worst record in baseball, and you didn't really sell any of your pieces. So to me, I was a little surprised that they didn't do anything right now, and felt like the way the farm system's going, Brent Doyle's had a really nice year. Ezekiel Tovar, they're both two younger guys. So you would think they're trying to, continue to build up that farm system, get some young guys in there. But Rockies, I felt like yesterday did not do a great job.
Talking about the former yard goat Ezekiel Tovar there, and you talk about the Orioles. Yeah, you look at the Yankees schedule. There's a very good chance the Yankees could overtake them in the AL East. And right now, currently, the Yankees lead the Phillies 4-0 in the bottom of the fourth. So we got more quarterbacks getting paid in the NFL, and also a receiver who just got paid too. Before we talk about that, we are going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEG's Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEG's Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
All righty, the Bears and Texans kick off the NFL season tomorrow with the Hall of Fame game. But we got to talk about a deal that the Bears made. Him and DJ Moore and them agreed to a 4-year, $110 million deal, $27 million per year. Obviously, this is a good move. You're just building around a rookie quarterback. That's what they're doing. The Bears are building around a rookie quarterback. And the big question, though, is with the Bears going to the season. They traded for Keenan Allen. They drafted Rome Odunze. So they drafted Caleb Williams. They got a rookie quarterback, and they put a lot of weapons around that rookie quarterback. Defensively, they traded for Montez Sweat last year. The defense definitely played a lot better when he went into the game. TJ Edwards, pretty good middle linebacker. You got Jalen Johnson as a corner, so you have an average defense as well. The big question with the Bears is are the Bears a playoff team? Are they going to be one of the playoff teams in the NFC this year? And I'm still going to say no. Because, number one, I know there's a lot of hype with Caleb Williams. I know they got a lot of weapons around him. But he still is a rookie quarterback. He still is a rookie quarterback, and I know C.J. Stroud had a great rookie year last year, but I don't love teams with rookie quarterbacks to make the postseason. So that's one of my reasons. And number two, very, 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 very questionable head coach. And we're gonna learn a lot about this team in the next month being on Hard Knocks. We're gonna learn a lot about this head coach in the next month being on Hard Knocks. And I think the biggest reason why I don't think this is a playoff team is I don't trust the head coach. He's had 2 straight losing seasons. He had 3-14 in year one. I know they made trades. It's not totally fair to judge his record in year one, but last year 7-10. And this is a team last year, a defensive guy with a defense that blew 3 double-digit leads in the fourth quarter. You can blame it on Justin Fields. Yes, he deserves his blame, but also a defensive coach has got to have a defense going to be able to hold those leads. So 2 reasons why I don't think the Bears are a playoff team. Number 1, rookie quarterback. Number 2, very, very questionable head coach.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, they just miss out. I think they're like a 7-8 win team again. I think it's the NFC North is a tough division. You got the Lions, you got the Packers, and you got the Vikings who have a ton of offensive talent. So, depending on what they do at quarterback, the Vikings should still put up some points. But yeah, there's a ton of pressure on Caleb Williams. I don't think there's that. I don't remember there ever being so much pressure on a rookie quarterback walking in year one. For this team to make a playoffs or that fan base to finally have a franchise quarterback. And Shane Waldron, I did a couple of weeks ago, was talking about how they're gonna somebody asked about the offense, and he said they were not tailoring it towards Caleb Williams. He's running his offense,
which was a problem. You got to tailor your offense towards your quarterback.
You do, absolutely. And again, so there's going to be his offense is some more stuff under center. And Caleb Williams never took a snap under center at USC besides taking a knee. He probably hasn't taken, so that might be a little bit of adjustment for Caleb to have. So I think this team's still a year away from being a playoff team. But I do think they are heading in the right direction of what they're doing, building around Caleb Williams. But and the head coach too is definitely questionable. Everything that surrounded with that defensive coordinator last year and how that ended in the middle of the year was something that was not a great look for the franchise. So I just there's a lot of questions still with him, with the head coach Eberflus. So yeah, I think the Bears still a year away from being a playoff team.
And the one thing you said about Shane Waldron, if Caleb Williams has an average season with these weapons because you wanted to run your schemes instead of tailoring the offense around him, you're going to lose your job because Matt Eberflus, if they don't make the playoffs, is probably going to lose his job. So that's why that's my number 1 reason why the Bears won't make the playoffs. I don't trust the head coach. So if you're Shane Waldron, why would you ever be tailoring a system around you? No, you'd be running your system instead of tailoring a system around the quarterback who is the savior of your franchise. You should be doing that. So I think that's a mistake.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if it's just stubbornness. I trying to just force Caleb to learn his system because, I know USC runs kind of more of an air raid. You didn't have to do that, but, if you don't want to, but yeah, to not tailor it to kind of be more under center this year, which is going to be different for Caleb and going to take some time probably to get used to. It's going to be, especially from now kind of having to learn the NFL game and, all that. So yeah, it's a mistake. And yeah, if Caleb doesn't have a great year, yeah, he's definitely going along with the head coach. So you would think if you want your job there long term, you would tailor it to your quarterback. But I don't know if it's just stubbornness or what.
Exactly. So now we got to get to the team the Bears are going to be playing in Canton tomorrow, and that is the Houston Texans. And the Houston Texans had a really, really good offseason. I mean, they went out, they trade for Stephon Diggs. They go out and signed Danielle Hunter. They got C.J. Stroud in year 2. And they got Will Anderson, who I think is going to be even better. He was the defensive rookie of the year, and I think he's going to be even better than he was last year. So the big question for the Texans is are the Texans the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC? And there's a lot of good teams in the AFC. You got the Ravens. You got the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. You got the Bengals with Joe Burrow, but with Joe Burrow being back. You got the Bills with Josh Allen. But I think I'm going to say yes, and here's why. You look at these other teams. The Bills, they lost Stephon Diggs to the Texans. The Ravens, they lost some pieces on that offensive line. I don't know I think they'll be around the same or a little bit worse than they were last year. And then you look at the Bengals, it seems like guys, especially in that receiving core, are more concerned about getting paid than competing for a championship. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going yes. I got them in my AFC Championship game to play the Chiefs. So I'm going to say yes because I like this. I think this defense is going to be top 10 with D'Amico Ryans. I think this offense is going to be really, really even better than it was last season. Joe Mixon, yeah, he's not the Joe Mixon that he wasn't his prime in Cincinnati, but he's better than what they had last year with Devin Singletary. They added a receiver in Stephon Diggs. And CJ Stroud, he's going to be in year 2. So I think he's even going to be better than he was last year. So I'm going to say yes. I'm taking the Texans, biggest three City Chiefs in the AFC.
I'm going to put them behind the Bengals, and
you're liking a team with a above average coach and a bunch of receivers that one wanted a deal, one wants a new deal, and one wants to be traded. I don't really like what I'm seeing. I don't mind Cincinnati. I think they could beat the Chiefs. I know they've had a lot of history. Historically, they've been Joe Burrow's bad. But I can't see that. But I mean, I can see it because of how good Burrow's been. But I just can't. There's no way I could pick that because of what's been going on this offseason in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm hoping all that gets sorted out because it seems like T. Higgins is probably going to leave at free agency next year. And hopefully, I think he could just go out there and ball out and just, trying to make the best of the opportunity and go try to make himself as much money as possible in the open market next offseason. But, we haven't seen anybody beat Kansas City in the playoffs that, besides the Bengals. Joe Burrow, again, CJ Stroud hasn't had that opportunity yet. And again, he definitely could go to Arrowhead and beat them with the team that they have this year. I think he could, but I still think the Bengals, if Joe Burrow's healthy with that offense, I know Zach Taylor's on a great head coach, that they've done pretty well against Kansas City. I still feel like if that team's healthy going to Arrowhead in the AFC Championship game, I still think they might have a little bit better of a chance. They kind of they have that built-in belief of they've already known that they've done it before. So I do take the Bengals. It's definitely just slightly over the Texans, but right now I take them. I take the Bengals a little bit ahead of Houston.
Yeah, you've seen the Bengals' history with the Chiefs. I mean, beat them twice in 2021, beat them in 2022 during the regular season, and then they lost the tough AFC Championship game. And then last year they played that game without Joe Burrow. So yeah, the Bengals. It's close. It's really close between the Texans, Bengals, Ravens, and also still the Bills. I mean, because they got a top 5 quarterback in Josh Allen, even though they lost Stephon Diggs. And you talk about beating the Chiefs. Josh Allen has beaten the Chiefs 3 times in the regular season. You just can't beat him in the postseason. He's 0-3 against him in the postseason. So yeah, it's very close. It's very close, very competitive in the AFC. It should be very interesting. But I just think the Texans are. I just like what I see out of Houston. I like the coach. I like the quarterback, and now I really like the roster.
Yeah, definitely. Houston's roster going in is really talented. They were a huge surprise last year, and they really built off that last year, and they've put themselves to even more talent now. And CJ Stroud's only going to get better in year 2. Their running game should be better with Joe Mixon this year. So yeah, I really like this Houston team. They're playing in Division 2 that's not too difficult either. Like Jacksonville's, could be a playoff team. Indianapolis is probably like a 7-8 win team, and then you got the Tennessee that's rebuilding. So, like the Texans, it's really good roster, playing a good division to kind of for themselves, and they should win that by a couple games, but or a game or so. But yeah, I think Texans are close, but they're gonna be right there. CJ Stroud definitely has a chance to put that team on his back and go on a run.
Absolutely. Yeah, they definitely will be. I think one thing we both can agree on is they're definitely a Super Bowl contender going into this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they are. They're the AFC is really tough, and there's a lot of really good quarterbacks, a lot of good teams, offensive teams. But Houston's definitely right there. Bengals, Houston. You kind of as we've been doing nitpicking, but yeah, they're at the worst, they're like the 3rd best team in the AFC right now.
Yeah, I agree. The 3rd or 4th. I'd probably say it's Chiefs. I'm going to go Texans, Ravens, Bengals, Bills. So I think the Bengals are definitely in the top 5. But yeah, a ton of good quarterbacks in the AFC, and one of them just got paid. And speaking of quarterbacks, yeah, we had 2 quarterbacks on Friday who got paid. First Tua got his deal with the Dolphins, and I think this was just eventually going to happen. This is eventually going to happen. And the thing about Tua is he wasn't the highest paid. Let's be honest. 4 years, 212, $53 million a year. He wasn't the highest paid, but this was just eventually going to happen. This was inevitable. The Dolphins were going to pay him because the last 2 years, when on the field, he's played like a top 10 quarterback. So it was just inevitable that the Dolphins were going to pay him.
Yeah, absolutely. It was. He's had a pretty good. When he's been on the field, he's been pretty good. Hasn't won the playoff game yet. He's had a opportunity last year. I do worry about the team the second half of the year. Under McDaniels, they've never really have gotten much better. But I just that one concern is he's one hit away from having to retire with the concussion. So that's my one concern is the health. I know he stayed healthy last year, but that offensive line, I don't think is going to be that great this year. So, could he take a couple, hits in a row? And they were 1-6 last year too against playoff teams. So, they got to get better against the top end of the competition. But yeah, it kind of felt like it was coming.
Yeah, he's undefeated against the Patriots, but you're not beating the Patriots. You're not beating the Patriots if you want to win a championship these days. It's not the Brady days. So if you're good against the Patriots, that does not mean anything these days. So again, he struggled against good teams, but I think a guy who is going to replace him. So I think it was just inevitable that the Dolphins paid him. He's been a starter for 3 years. He started part of his rookie year too. So there's a ton of film on him, a ton of evidence to show you why he should or shouldn't get paid. But the Dolphins chose to pay him. I agree with that. I think he's a top 10 quarterback. I do think they made the right move by paying him. Now, talk about a quarterback who doesn't have much film but got paid is Jordan Love. After 1 year and pretty much sitting out practice pretty much all week, the Packers rewarded Jordan Love with a nice 4-year, $220 million contract, and now he is tied for the high. Now he is tied for the highest. He's tied with Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow for the highest paid player in the NFL. Pretty crazy. Yeah, the guy played well, but this just shows you that QBs have so much leverage in this league. They have so much leverage. Like this guy is sitting out practice. And had one good half of a season. I know he was great in the second half last year. There probably wasn't a quarterback who played better than him in the second half of the year last year, but it was one half the season. But I've had a feeling this was going to happen. I said it last week. I said this was going to happen. He was going to sit. The Packers were going to get worried, so they were just going to say, you know what? Let's just pay this guy. So let's end the distraction, and let's just pay this guy $56 million. It shows you the leverage. Last year, Lamar Jackson wants to be traded. The Ravens end up paying him. So it just shows you have so much leverage as a quarterback now. So much leverage in this league because a lot of these teams get afraid. They're afraid to start over. So Jordan Love, 4 years, $220 million, $55 a year for pretty much starting 1 year in this league. I know he won a playoff game until he started 1 year.
Yeah, it's crazy because not even about a year ago, we had no idea if this guy could play or not. And now he's getting that. Now
we were doubting in the first half of the season. Should the Packers draft a quarterback? Should they move on from Jordan Love? Now they pay him $55 million.
Yeah, it's a lot, and you're right. These teams are afraid to lose their franchise quarterback and have to start over again. Where, they just end up giving the quarterback whatever they want, and it's insane what these quarterbacks are making nowadays. But it shows how important the position is right now, and. Yeah, and like in the Packers sense too, I know Rodgers hurt last year, but you did give up Aaron Rodgers to let this guy start. And if you didn't pay him and he's on the open market next year, it's a bad look on the organization too. So there's some pressure on that. But yeah, for him, again, he had a great second half of the year, but can he keep it up? That's going to be the big question. But look, for playing a great half of the year to get $56 million, good for him, great. But there's still a lot left, I feel like, to be learned about Jordan Love.
Oh, yeah. It was very inaccurate in the first half of the season last year.
Yeah.
Now, I think personally the Packers are going to be really good. I think they're going to be really good this year. I think Jordan Love is going to be really good, but we're not 100% sure about that. Like the Dolphins paid Tua, but you know what Tua is, a top 10 quarterback in the league. You have no idea what Jordan Love is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. We don't know yet, and because he could open up again like he did the first half of last year, and it kind of really struggled out of the gate. The team struggles. I think they were like 3-6, 3-5, something like that. they did not play well. Yeah, the accuracy was bad. They were falling behind in games, and they weren't playing good football. And then just something clicked there. In the second half, the last 9 games or so, and he took off and was definitely, the best quarterback, in the second half of the year. So yeah, there's a lot left to be learned about him. He's sat a lot, and the first couple years under Rodgers probably did learn a lot. Probably, that probably definitely helped him out. But yeah, there's still, it's a good division, and there's, last year I felt like the expectations of the Packers were like, maybe they're a wild card team, maybe they sneak in, but now it's like, they got a
You got to
chance to
be
make the
contending for
NFC
the Super
Championship
Bowl.
game.
You got to be contending
Yeah.
for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and so now there's a lot of pressure now on Jordan Love to kind of, they're not really gonna be under the radar, like, so yeah, it's that the expectations too are gonna be different for Jordan Love. So we'll see kind of how he handles it and how the team handles it. But yeah, there's still definitely a lot to learn with him still.
Yep, definitely. Now here's a question. I'm going to pose a question here. This is a hard question, brutal question. Who has a better chance to win a Super Bowl in the next? It says last 5 years, but in the next 5 years, the Dolphins or the Dolphins or the Packers? This is a really hard question because the thing is we like Tua's deal more than we like Jordan Love's deal. But I think the thing is the two organizations it comes down to. The two organizations. The Dolphins have not won a playoff game since 2000. The Packers, yes, they only have won one Super Bowl in the last almost the last 30 years. No, in the last 25 years, but they did win Super Bowl, and they had six. And their organization has. I know they haven't gotten to the Super Bowl. They've had a lot more success in the playoffs than the Dolphins. Hard question because you don't mind the Tua signing and you really don't like the Love signing. But the thing is I just have organizationally more faith in the Packers, so I'm going to pick the Packers. But I'm not strong with the opinion either way. But I'm going to pick the Packers.
Yeah, I kind of feel for me, I feel like it's kind of easier. I think it's the Packers, because I just in the AFC, I just think there's too much competition, and I think with McDaniel's offense, we've seen it. Like unless they're the one team in the playoffs, they've struggled when they have to go up play cold games up in January. Like I don't know if that offense fits for January football. I think they're built to play at home every game in the playoffs. Again, you really don't get that if you're the one seed. So I think the Packers too because of the road. You got the Niners who, obviously they, Ayuk, wants to get paid. Like, they're not going to be paid everybody. The Cowboys are a mess. We'll see what the Eagles can do, but I think the road two in the NFC is a lot easier for the Packers than it is in the AFC for the Miami Dolphins. So I feel pretty strongly about that answer that the Packers have the easiest, have the better chance of winning a Super Bowl in the next 5 years.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me, but it comes down to the coach. I like Matt LaFleur better than Mike McDaniel, and it comes down to the GM. I like Brian Gutekunst a little bit better than I like Chris Greer. So yeah, to me, I'm going to go with the Packers, but it's very, very close for me. Earlier in the show, we talked about a team that's going to be on Hard Knocks with the Bears, but now we are going to wrap up a team who was on Hard Knocks with my Giants. And for me, there were 4 major takeaways from this for me. Number 1, Joe Schoen wanted no part in re-signing Saquon Barkley. And how could you really blame him? They offered him 2 contracts in 2022 that he declined. He wanted no part, and he said it. I'm not going over $12.5 million a year to sign Saquon Barkley. Barkley got a deal in Philly worth up to $15 million, and Shane definitely did not want to match it because he did not want anything north of $12.5 million. But he even said it during meetings. He said it to one of his guys that worked under him. You're paying the quarterback $40 million. It's not to hand the ball off to the $12 million back, and that's the reality of the NFL. I mean, and you saw what the Giants did. You saw what the Giants did: improve the offensive line, going out and getting Jermaine Elmanor and Runyon, and then you saw in the draft they went out and got Daniel Jones. And this is crazy to say. This is probably his best weapon on offense in the time he's been there, and he hasn't even played it down yet. Seeing how great he's been in training camp in Malik Neighbors, so it showed you that Joe Schoen wanted no part of re-signing Saquon Barkley. Number 2, they did try to trade up for a quarterback. That is obvious. They tried to trade up for a quarterback, and it happened there's 3 instances in this in Hard Knocks that showed you why it's true. Number 1, at the Combine, Elliott Wolf and Joe Schoen had a conversation about trading up. And then the second instance is when they were discussing quarterbacks in the draft, Daboll said he would trade up for Jaden Daniels. Then the third instance, which everyone saw, the day of the draft, Joe Shane and Elliott Wolf had a conversation about trading up. So the Giants definitely wanted to trade up for a quarterback, which is the thing in this offseason that bothered me the most, because I felt like they should have been 100% committed to Daniel Jones. The guy won a playoff game 2 years ago. He only played 5 games last year. I think they should have been 100% committed to Daniel Jones, and you can't say that because in 3 instances in Hard Knocks, they talked about trading up for a quarterback. Number 3, the Giants loved Malik Neighbors from the beginning. Brian Daboll was a huge fan of Malik Neighbors. They loved Malik Neighbors. And when they were presenting their draft plan, pretty much Joe Shane had it decided. If one of those quarterbacks, Daniels or May, were not there, he was going to take Harrison or Neighbors. The Giants knew at 6. Yeah, they took some calls from the Jets and the Colts when they were on the clock, but they knew at 6 they were taking Malik Neighbors. So they knew they were taking Neighbors at number 6. With Harrison gone and with the 2 quarterbacks gone, they knew they were taking Neighbors at 6. And then number 4, and my last point, that building was ecstatic to get Brian Burns. That determined if that was a good day or a bad day in free agency. They were ecstatic to trade for Brian Burns. That building was so happy when Brian Burns got traded. So those are my takeaways. And the question I'm going to ask you, Justin, is: do you feel better or worse about the Giants with everything that happened in Hard Knocks?
I kind of lean both ways because I know with the Giants, the big thing always throughout the years was John Mara kind of oversteps his bound, as the owner, and we saw what kind of extending Eli, did and really put this team, behind the 8 ball later years, and you could see, he was not letting Mara give Saquon what he wants. Like Joe Shane is in charge, and I think that's a good sign. But also with all the negativity that seems like they have with Daniel Jones of wanting a different quarterback, maybe that lights fire under Jones, and he has a monster year. Maybe that's possible, but it is weird. And I know you got the injury concerns, probably too. They're worried about that with the neck, and he hasn't totally been able to stay healthy those years.
They documented that in Hard Knocks. Missed 17 games since 2021. They documented that in Hard Knocks.
Yeah, so I feel both ways. Things don't go great early on with the offense. How quickly do they pull the trigger with Jones? But I think in the long term, as long as you don't bottom out and go 3-14, I think Shane's probably going to be there another year or so. So, I think it's good that Mara's not overstepping anymore. But I also think it's a little concerning of how much they were trying to, move on for Daniel Jones to get another You're bringing another starting quarterback this offseason.
Yeah. I like that Shane wasn't listening to Mara during the Saquon stuff. I was happy he was doing that. But again, like I said, the thing that bothers me the most, and it's bothered me the most about this Giants offseason, was they're not 100% committed to their quarterback. And I believe that if you're going to have success in the NFL going into a season, you got to be 100% committed with the guy that's behind center. And they were not. And it was proven 3 times that they were not. And that's my biggest issue with the Giants offseason. Yeah, and you said it. Maybe it lights a fire under Daniel Jones. But the other concern is Jones could lose it could cause Jones to lose his confidence. And then the season's a total disaster if that happens. So, yeah, that was my biggest concern. That was my biggest concern. But ultimately, I kind of feel the same way, because there was a report out there that they were going to, trade up. I know it now for sure, but there was a report out there. And obviously the Saquon stuff, we got an inside look at it, but I was ready as a Giants fan to move on from Saquon. So I still feel the same way. I'll give my prediction, late in August about the team, but I do feel the same way about the Giants before I watch before and after I watch Hard Knocks.
Yeah, I would say I have the same thing. You kind of feel like with this Giants team that because I know Jones had the good year and they got to playoffs, he won a game, but if you weren't really fully committed, why don't you move on? I know they could get out of it next off season. I know they have an out and they could do that, and that's probably what's going to happen unless Jones puts up a monster year. But why did you give him the contract if you weren't that's the only thing. And that's not great, because I would assume, because Shane's not Shane's been out of him. I assume it's the same thing with Daboll. Like, he came in with Shane from Buffalo. Like, I assume they're on the same page about the quarterback. So,
absolutely. They're clearly on the same page about a lot of things, but they're definitely on the same page about the quarterback.
Yeah. So again, I think it's going to help that maybe you guys didn't trade up because Drake May, the early signs are not great from Drake May in Patriots camp, and could be, he might not even see the field this year, So Jaden Daniels, I know it's looked a little bit better, but yeah, I do think they owed it to Daniel Jones to give him one shot here. Cause what are you going to do? To go out there this year, build him that offense to see what he could do with it. So I think for the Giants, I do hope for Daniel Jones that this kind of, because they have authority of what gets in or what goes out on the air, and they were okay with all those clips about trading up for the quarterback or trying to trade up for the quarterback, the Drake May.
That was a little bit controversial too. They were okay with all even the Saquon conversations, the Drake May, the trading up for the quarterback. Yeah, that was a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if they should have really allowed it, but if you're going to tell the story of the offseason, I think you kind of have. I think HBO push. You kind of have that stuff in there.
Yeah, absolutely. HBO's got to put that stuff in there. And the Giants seemed okay with it. So, hopefully for Dan, hopefully it's kind of, hopefully it lights for Daniel Jones. It just lights a fire under him. He goes out there and tries to prove the organization wrong. But yeah, the thing is, the other thing is too, the relationship, I can't imagine it's great between Jones, Daboll, and Shane. I can't imagine with everything out now. And, he probably knows. So, if things don't go well early, that relationship can't be great to start out with. So, it'll be interesting to see how it evolves throughout the year.
Exactly. We'll see what happens. Yeah, if he struggles, there could be a quick hook for Daniel Jones. I definitely think that very easily. I definitely think that could happen. But before we wrap this up, we'll talk about Team USA, and they play their second game in the Olympics against South Sudan in about less than an hour. I think they're going to be fine in this one. I think they'll be fine in this one. I think they'll be fine in this tournament. The play of Kevin Durant was phenomenal. I think he'll move into the starting lineup. LeBron, Curry playing really well. Yes, Embiid has struggled, and Tatum didn't get in the game, but ultimately, for how good this USA team is, how much talent they have, I just don't think they even need much. You saw it in the first game. They didn't even need Tatum to play, or they didn't even need Embiid to play well for this team to have success.
Yeah, they should be fine. South Sudan, first time here in the Olympics, had an impressive showing against Puerto Rico, played this United States team very well in the exhibition. Like, they're a long, lengthy, they got some athleticism. Like, I don't think the U.S. is going to beat them by 30 plus, but I wouldn't be shocked if it's like a 20-ish point game. I think it's going to be somewhere around there, I think South Sudan's going to come out, play hard, and, just like they did in that exhibition game, they got nothing to lose. So for Team USA, I could see this thing being a little close early. And then they pull away late. But yeah, I just think they got too much overall talent for South Sudan. But, they've been a great story. It'll be fun to kind of, watch that South Sudan team play against USA. But yeah, the way Kevin Durant shot the ball 8 for 9 was impressive. This team's going to be fine. There's so much talent. And yeah, Tatum, who's, top 5, top 10 NBA player, just didn't even see the floor, and you still have no problem. This team, they shouldn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, they definitely should not. They should beat South Sudan, I think, by at least 20 points. But that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We're not totally sure what's going to happen next week because I am out. We'll see. We'll let it up to Justin to see what he wants to do. But the thing we do know is you won't see me next week. You'll see me in 2 weeks. So enjoy the Olympics, everyone. Enjoy the Olympics, everyone, and have a great weekend.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.